Hello and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I'm Marissa, and today I would like to chat with you about a historical fiction book and an upcoming new release that I recently finished, and that is Blackberry and Wild Rose by Sonia Velton. As I've already mentioned in previous videos, I had a massive historical fiction book hangover from finishing A Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock, which was absolutely wonderful. I've already done a review of that though, so you can check that out after this perhaps. But after reading that book, I was looking for something to fill that exquisite historical fiction void left in my life. And I was lucky enough to have this book provided to me in an ebook version from Netgalley. My request was actually miraculously quickly approved. It's like they knew how much I had been craving a book just like this one, and it certainly satisfied my massive historical fiction craving. I believe that this book is already out in the UK, but it'll be published in the US by Blackstone Publishing on May 7th, 2019, so it's coming up soon. Blackberry and Wild Rose takes place in 1768 Spitalfields, London, and tells the story of Esther, the wife of a Huguenot master silk weaver, who rescues Sarah, a prostitute, from a local brothel. As Sarah is brought into the household of the master weaver, we begin to see a strained relationship develop between the two female protagonists, and how their situations, though quite different, mirror each other with the weight of entrapment and stifled potential. Sarah quickly realizes that she has traded one form of servitude for another and will always be beholden to somebody else, no matter how hard she tries to make her own choices. And Esther desires to design and weave her own silks, but her husband dismisses her aspirations. Weaving to him is men's work and embodies a sphere that does not concern wives. Desperate to create and give birth to her designs, Esther seeks the help of one of her husband's journeyman weavers and inadvertently sets the stage for events that change the fate of the whole household. Sonia Velton brings her story to life with exquisite, languid prose and impeccable research and detail of the world of silk weaving. She uses authentic vocabulary of the time for weaving implements and grounds her story of the two protagonists in the economic and social changes brought about by the Industrial Revolution. There is a phenomenal aspect of this book that, like North and South and Mary Barton, examines class conflicts and workers' rights. And if that isn't enough historical grounding for you, the character of Esther is loosely based on the figure of Anna Maria Garthwaite, who was one of the premier English designers of her day and was known for creating vivid floral designs on her silks. The book's title, Blackberry and Wild Rose, is also the title of a silk pattern displayed in the Victoria and Albert Museum, which inspired the author to write this novel. Blackberry and Wild Rose is one of those books that provides strong character development and a fast-paced, suspenseful plot. I really cannot emphasize enough how well-paced and plotted out this story is. Sonia Velton creates such strong relationships between even minor characters so subtly, yet believably, but she also manages to never have a dull moment in the text. There was such a momentum that propelled me through this book. I was completely entrenched in the story, and by the climax, I was sobbing and frantically turning pages. My boyfriend even stopped his video game to ask if I was okay. It's just one of those brilliant books that invoked such an emotional response for me. The narrative is told from two points of view, Sarah's and Esther's, but unlike many other dual narratives, we don't witness the same events repeated from different perspectives. The story flows with seamless transitions between the two characters' point of views to weave a cohesive story. This was refreshing for me, as I find dual narratives to sometimes be unnervingly repetitive, but Velton created the perfect amount of time between the shifting points of view. I admired how cohesive the storyline was. However, if there was one critique that I were to give this book, it would be that the narrative voice itself was too cohesive. For a book that prides itself on the contrast between two characters, these two characters' voices and tones within their sections seemed remarkably similar to me. At times, I even caught myself needing to flip back a few pages to remind myself whose perspective I was reading from if the events didn't give it away naturally. Velton manages to convey the complexity and differences between these two characters in their actions, thoughts, and interactions with other characters, just not through the use of distinct voices. This wasn't a fatal flaw for me, and perhaps it was even purposely done to emphasize the similarities between the characters, in addition to their differences. I loved the ways in which Blackberry and Wild Rose examine themes of motherhood, birth, respectability, and loyalty in fascinating ways. It looks at a variety of women's roles in society: servant, wife, mother, whore, and what sacrifices and duties each of those roles require. This book is a must-read for any historical fiction fans and has been compared to The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock, which I so enjoyed, The Essex Serpent, and The Miniaturist, both of which I still have to read. The 13th Tale, which obviously you guys know if you watch this channel, is one of my favorites, and other absolutely brilliant historical fiction books. So I do hope you consider reading it if you're interested in historical fiction. It is well worth it. That is all I have for you guys today. If you have read this book already, maybe you're in the UK or maybe you also have an advanced copy, I'd be really curious to hear what you think. And if you haven't read it, are you excited to read it? What other historical fiction books are you guys really excited for in the upcoming future? I look forward to seeing you guys in another video soon. Bye!